Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast, the official podcast of filmpulse.net. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode number 166. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, Kevin Rakestraw. How you doing, Kevin?
Doing pretty good.
Doing some of the old Mother's Day stuff?
Sure.
Mom's Day stuff?
Sure. I was like, hey, Mom, happy Mother's Day.
Cool.
And that was the extent of it, so.
My girlfriend's mom is visiting from Florida. We're going to go see Book of Mormon today.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, it's pretty exciting.
Look at you being cultured.
Doing a little Broadway thing.
Oh,
you know.
man. Such a tourist.
Oh, God. Sometimes it's fun to do touristy things, you know?
Yeah. Sure. Why not?
Sometimes it's annoying, and sometimes it's fun. This week on the show, we'll be talking about the Arnold Schwarzenegger-starring zombie film Maggie, which is currently available in select cities and on VOD. And we'll also be talking about the Kristen Wiig starring comedy Welcome to Me, which just expanded into more theaters this week, so it very well may be playing in your area. We're also going to be going over some of what we've been watching, as well as this week's movie predictions, new on video on demand, and DVD and Blu-ray releases. Remember, so you can send us your questions to podcast@filmpulse.net, and be sure to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/filmpulse and help support the show. We appreciate that so very much. Let's go ahead and just dive right in to this week's reviews.
Let's do it. Let's just get into it.
We're going to talk about, we'll talk about Maggie.
All right.
First, just because I mentioned it first.
Yeah.
No real reason behind picking that one first.
Oh, let's do it.
It's the newer of the two.
You're damn right.
So, this is directed by Henry Hobson. I have a synopsis here. A teenage girl in the Midwest becomes infected by an outbreak of a disease that slowly turns the infected into cannibalistic zombies. During her transformation, her loving father stays by her side. As I mentioned, this stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as well as Abigail Breslin and Jolie Richardson. Now, Kevin, I have a review for this up on the site. I saw this at Tribeca just a few weeks ago, actually. So, Kevin, we'll start with you. What did you think of Maggie?
Oh, man. Maggie. This is an odd one.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that I like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you're going for.
Mm-hmm.
And the execution, can't say is all that bad. It's just, there's nothing here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a short film just drawn out for 95 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just the same thing over and over again.
I had a really hard time writing a review for this one because I didn't mind what I saw. I thought it was a unique film. It was a different take on the zombie movie in that it's not really a zombie movie at all.
No.
And it's a definite departure from Arnold, and I thought that he did a surprisingly good job.
I thought he did pretty well as far as his character goes, but his character doesn't really do anything. He just kind of looks at things, walks around.
But his character requires such a higher emotional range than
he did. I have to say, he did a good job with the crying.
Yeah, he sold
me on crying.
Looking at other characters that he typically does, it's usually like a guy that's angry.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's pissed off about something.
But
and he's going to kill.
But it's still just very bizarre that, this takes place in the Midwest, and he's like a farmer, and then he opens his mouth, and you hear his voice, and you're just
the
like...
Austrian accent?
Sorry. Nope.
And what's his name?
His name's Wade.
Wade. Yeah, his name's Wade.
It's just every time he opened his mouth, I'm like, no, this isn't working. You're Arnold. You're just Arnold. That's all. Like, all of his characters are just Arnold.
Right.
There's just varying degrees of Arnold.
But again, I appreciate what they were going for with this. I mean, there's very little action. There is some action in it. There's not. I wouldn't call it a horror movie.
No.
And
the action that they do put in, it felt extremely forced. Like, while you're driving back, and all of a sudden you're just like, let's stop off at this store so I can look at sunglasses. which just felt like an excuse for like, oh, let's have him run into a zombie and he has to kill it.
Well, I think they're trying to remind us that they are living in a world that is filled with danger at every turn, and that you could get attacked at any moment.
I think they could have done a bit of a better job than like, hey, let's stop and look at sunglasses.
Well, wasn't he getting gas? He was getting gas for the car.
Was he?
Yeah.
I don't see that's the other thing that I want to come around to is that this is extremely forgettable.
Yeah, it's
I barely remember anything from it. It's one note. It's just one note over and over again, which, okay, the Arnold stuff is good. And then like halfway through, we leave Arnold. We just completely abandon him for
that was
20-25 minutes.
Right. And that was a big problem I had with it, because the synopsis and all of the materials lead you to believe that this is a story about, a father coming to terms with this disease that his daughter has, and spending her last moments like with her and nurturing her and all of this, and how he's coming to terms with that.
Yeah, and the decisions that he's forced to make, that's what the end point's going to be, and you're kind of wondering, what is he going to decide? What actually happens when they go into quarantine?
And I thought all of that was effective, but they do take kind of a detour, and for a while they focus on Abigail Breslin's character and how she's dealing with it, and her meeting up with some of her friends from the past, and one of her friends is also infected. And when they go down that road, it was far less interesting.
And the worst part about it is they were doing such a good job of just showing, not telling. You do. Mm-hmm. We know right off the bat what the point, what you're trying to say, what you're going for, and then all of a sudden it takes this detour where they're at a bonfire, and you have the love interest, I guess, who's also turning, that has it essentially just comes out and says everything that the film's about, which is completely unnecessary. He has to come out and he spits it out as, what would you do if you were turning? What would you do? What would you want your parents to do? And it's just like, yeah, I know that's what you're going for. You don't have to tell me.
Yeah.
Can we get back to Arnold?
Yep.
And then they come back to it, and it's just like, they keep doing the same thing. It's like, I get it. I know he's having a tough time with it, but come on.
Yeah, I think if they took out the whole thing with her meeting her best friend and her, that guy that was infected, I guess, was her ex-boyfriend. If they took all that stuff out, and then the subsequent kind of subplot that occurs with that kid and what happens to him as he gets further along in the infection, I don't think we needed that, because I think that we could all kind of know how this is going to go. We don't need to see what the end result is going to be for Abigail Breslin, because I think that we've all seen, as an audience, we've seen enough zombie movies to know where it's going to go.
And you already know, you already have a little bit of an idea what's going to happen with the family before that they sort of come across in the woods.
Right.
Everything that happened there, and it just it feels like you're repeating yourself.
Exactly.
But it's thrown in for like a love interest type thing.
Yeah, I forgot about the family in the woods thing. I did like that.
I thought that was handled quite well. Because again, you're doing more showing. You're not really telling. You're not just coming out and saying this is what they're dealing with. It was a good job of showing like the tough choices that they're faced with. But then you throw that all out the window by just coming out and saying it later on, 20 minutes later.
That was definitely one of the issues I have at times, especially towards the beginning. It was very exposition heavy. Like some of the conversations the characters had with each other, it was clearly meant for us so we can understand what's going on in this world. And it didn't detract too much from the overall experience I had with it, but it was noticeable.
No, it was a bit of a rocky start, because especially that the whole the NPR. Like him listening to NPR, and that's kind of how they set up this world, is what's happening, and that was a bit rough to get through.
Yeah,
but again, like you said, it didn't detract greatly.
No, and I understand that they had to try to do something, because we were kind of just thrust into this world. It's not a movie where it's the beginning of the zombie apocalypse or anything like that. I mean, they're like years in at this point.
Yeah.
So I get that they had to try to do something to set up this world and set up the rules for this world, but I don't know. I feel like they could have done something better, or just like had us figure it out in a more natural way.
Yeah, just streamlined it. Because honestly, that whole bonfire sequence just didn't work. Yeah, it almost feels like it doesn't even fit in this movie.
Yeah,
especially considering the way that you're marketing it.
Exactly. Like, it's all about Arnold and his relationship with Abigail Breslin. Like, that's what it's all about. So why do we take this unnecessary detour? Because you can still develop her character and how she's dealing with being infected.
Yeah.
I mean, they did an effective job of that. Just, with her being on her own and being more moody and just trying to figure it out and stuff like that. And like the whole the scene where she's on the swing and falls.
Yeah, and then her in in the waiting room with the the woman telling her kids to get away from her and everything.
Yeah, like that all was a really good way of it's showing what she's going through being infected, and not just what Wade is going through.
It's subtle and it's organic and it works. That's why I don't understand why they followed up with just exposition, just straight from people's mouths that weren't even in the movie 2 minutes ago. All of a sudden they just show up to explain things.
Yeah.
And like, I don't need you. I know what's going on. This isn't a complex movie.
Yeah. It's a really, really odd movie. Like, it just, the whole time I was watching it, I was just thinking, this is just so strange. I mean, it's a zombie movie, but it's not. It's this kind of like familial drama, but it stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's just so weird. And for me, at least, compounding the weirdness was the visual aesthetic of this, which
because it's Malick
is very very Malick-esque with the visuals. I mean, it all takes place on a farm, and there's lots of kind of bleak nature type visuals, handheld, a lot of handheld work going on, positioned behind the actors.
Oh yeah,
following them through fields.
You got some staples in there.
Yeah, so it was
some indie staples, but that's what I mean. Like, it looks good. I like the idea. It's just the execution.
Yeah,
I don't know. Could have used a little more work. Tightened it up, streamlined it.
Without really spoiling the end, what did you think of the conclusion? Did that work for you and how they ended it?
It kind of worked, yeah. For the most part.
It worked for me. Yeah. It worked for me too.
I mean, it didn't really didn't have a huge impact, but it didn't really take me out of it in the sense that I was like, oh my god, that's how you ended this? It's just like, that's fine enough.
Maybe it was because I saw this in a theater environment, and it was just more, I was like more invested into or engrossed in this world. But there were a couple parts towards the end where I actually started feeling choked up over what was happening. And I was really surprised at that I was actually able to, that a movie like this was able to evoke any kind of real emotion from me. And I thought I was impressed by that.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, I got a little bit towards the end, with them.
It was, there was one scene, and this kind of goes back to the forgetful nature of it, because I don't really even remember what specific scene it was, but there was a scene towards the end where it was just him and her, and they were just kind of, it was near getting towards the end, and we knew that it was like the infection was about to just completely take over.
Yeah.
And it was like a really emotional scene. I don't know if it was just a simple scene of them. Like, I know it was a scene that both of them were crying, and it was just really, it was really sad. I mean, I was surprised at how sad this movie went.
I'll share something with you for how forgettable this movie is. I was thinking, because I was going to say Arnold and Breslin's character, and I'm thinking, oh, what was Abigail Breslin's character's name? It's the fucking name of the movie, man. I'm like, Wade and oh god, what is her name? It's fucking Maggie.
I don't know if that's a problem with the movie or just Or just you?
I just like the only thing that sticks out to me in this movie is Arnold because he sticks out like a sore thumb. Every time he opens his mouth, you're just like, "What, Arnold? What the fuck are you doing here?"
Mm-hmm.
This is a Midwest movie about zombies with emotion. What are you doing? Why are you here?
Yeah. I mean, I think it could also be mentioned that Jolie Richardson's in this and plays the stepmother, and so she's in it for a good bit too. They kind of don't even mention her in any of the trailers or anything, but she's there for most of it.
And there's an interesting dynamic with her that I wish they would have explored a little bit more. I wish they would have went more with her instead of Maggie getting up with her friends.
Yeah, it was interesting because I didn't even know. They don't tell you right off the bat that that's not her mom.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And like, you find out later that, and it's not like it's a big reveal or anything. It's just that casually comes up, which they did I thought that they did a good job with that, and it did add kind of a new layer to it.
Yeah, because she wants to be there for Maggie, but at the same time, it's not her kid, so it's easy for her to just say, oh, let's throw her in quarantine. Let's take care of this and move on, because she's looking out for her own kids too, that are around her, which I thought was a more interesting dynamic. They didn't really go down, and instead they go the bonfire friend route. Let's make out in an abandoned school bus, I guess. Yeah. Which apparently in the fucking Midwest, there's just abandoned. There's fucking school buses everywhere.
They're all over the place. When people are done with school buses, they just throw them away. They just throw them in the woods.
They just put them in a field. It's like they plant them. Instead of planting a tree, they plant school buses for some reason.
Yeah.
Fucking Midwest.
I think that's how it goes. All right, so I gave this, I believe, a 5.5 in my original review. What are you going to score Maggie out of 10?
I'm right there with you. I'm going to say 5. It's interesting.
I think it is worth a look. It's worth a rental on VOD. I think that I think that this is Henry Hobson's first movie. I think it's his directorial debut.
I think you're correct.
He worked as a title designer, so he did like movie titles.
Yeah. For
a lot of other movies, but yeah. So this is his first movie. Not a bad debut, I would say.
No, not at all.
So check it out. That's Maggie. It's available on VOD and playing in select cities right now. Let's move on and talk about Welcome to Me. Now, this is directed by Shira Piven. I have a synopsis here. When Alice Klieg wins the Mega Millions lottery, she immediately quits her psychiatric meds and buys her own talk show. This stars Kristen Wiig, James Marsden, Wes Bentley, Linda Cardellini, Joan Cusack, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Tim Robbins, Alan Tudyk.
There's a lot of people in this movie.
There's a lot of people in this movie. So I'll start off with this one since you started the last one. I liked this movie. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I thought that it was moderately funny. There were more dramatic elements to it than I originally expected.
Yeah.
I mean, this is as much drama as it is comedy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't go into it expecting Kristen Wiig being this like goofy, eccentric, quirky person. Like, she's legitimately mentally ill, and it's very sad at times.
Yeah, which is the problem that I have with this movie. It's just very, because sometimes it's you get the sense that they're trying to play it up for laughs,
right?
And you're just like, no, she's mentally ill. This is not funny.
Yeah, she has like I think early in the movie she mentions that she has a borderline personality disorder, and like originally she was diagnosed as being manic depressive.
Yeah,
and
which that stuff's not funny. It's not.
Right. And sometimes the movie does play it up for laughs, and I think that sometimes she acts a little goofy, like she kind of she doesn't make fun of mental illness, but it's not believable. It at times feels like she's being an SNL character.
Yeah.
And then at other times when it gets more serious, then you're just like, oh, ooh. Especially towards the end as things come to a head.
Yeah. which I know people with borderline personality disorder. And this is not what it looks like. I tell you that. But I learned something interesting with this movie that Kristen Wiig lives in Lancaster for a while.
Oh, really?
Which I had no idea. Apparently, she lived here for like 6-7 years when she was younger. So I learned that. That was kind of cool, I guess. But I had trouble with this one. It felt wrong to me.
I thought that for me it started off okay, but it just didn't really go anywhere for me. It felt I don't know if one note is the right word, but it just it didn't quite gel with me.
No, and for me, number one, the way that they deal with mental illness is just it didn't sit well with me. And then to make it even worse is, they kind of excuse it by like, hey, let's have her win the lottery and then she gets to do whatever she wants.
I think maybe it would have worked better if they didn't flat out say that she was mentally ill, and if they just kept that kind of ambiguous and didn't make that kind of one of the focal points of the movie.
Yeah.
And I know that would probably result in the entire foundation of the movie falling apart. But if they made the movie about just some goofy, weird girl making a TV show kind of getting back at all the people that wronged her throughout her life.
But then you would at least get something towards the end there. If you do like a soft reveal type deal, you would at least have like, oh shit, let me rethink everything that I laughed at.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what the hell? But since from the outset, you're just like, this is a mentally ill person. This isn't funny.
Yeah, and a lot of times it felt sometimes a little skeezy as far as she has sex with several people throughout this movie, and at times it was like, wait a minute, is that person, like, do they know that she's mentally ill and they're kind of like taking advantage of that? Or there was just a lot of really kind of questionable things going on in this movie that could be misinterpreted, I think, or looked at from a different angle.
It bothered me because then at certain points it seems like they kind of go overboard with the quirkiness or the whatever you want to call it. Like, she's mentally ill and everything, but she wears a fanny pack, right? Fanny packs.
I thought that a lot of the comedy did work, though. I thought that it was. I like that she says carbohydrates.
Yeah, which is weird. She does a whole like Zach Galifianakis bit throughout the entire movie where she's just mispronouncing words for comedic effect, which I did chuckle at occasionally.
One of the funniest parts of that was the guy in the control room that always looked at the other people every time she'd do it.
Well, and the fact that he even questioned it. He's like, is it carbohydrates or carbohydrates?
Yeah.
It reminded me again that I wish Joan Cusack was in more things.
She was great in this. I thought that she was one of the best parts.
Why is she not in more movies?
I mean, she just nails the whole, and how she just goes along with it.
Yeah,
Jennifer Jason.
She's not in it. She's not into this idea from the outset. She doesn't like it. She thinks it's wrong.
Right.
She's like, what the hell are we doing? We're taking full advantage of this person who obviously has mental problems. But then as the time, as it kind of moves forward, her and Kristen Wiig sort of develop this relationship together, and
where they have like conversations with each other from between the set and the control room. And that was the other thing that I was a little confused about, because it felt like they were trying to allude to this idea that James Marsden's character as I guess he was the owner of the TV studio or some, I guess.
Yeah.
They were trying to allude to the fact that maybe he was using her a little bit for the money, but I never really got that sense. He seemed like a decent guy,
Well, it seemed like from the outset that's what he was going for. Like, hey, she has a shit ton of money. Let's do this so we can get her money. But
But he gave her everything that she wanted.
That's what I mean. Like, okay,
it's not like he screwed her.
Yeah, I would have understood if the production values were like bottom level as can be,
right?
And he's just raking it in. But no, he actually put a lot of effort into her show.
Yeah, and especially when after the first episode she was like, it doesn't look good enough. The music needs to be better, and then they did all that. They obliged her by making the sets more elaborate and making the music more, using an orchestra and stuff like that. So I never got the feeling that James Marsden was trying to steal from her or screw her over in any way. And I think that's one thing that was supposed to be a question that was raised. And I don't know, that just, maybe James Marsden's character was just too likable or something.
Perhaps.
Because he didn't really give us a reason to not like him.
Not really. Yeah, I mean, he seemed a bit sketchy at first, but like I said,
a little bit.
He gets into the show.
I think if anybody seemed sketchy to me, it was the student, Rainer.
Oh yeah, played by Thomas.
He seemed sketchy.
Yeah,
he seemed like a sketchy dude to me.
Yeah, because I think he was the only one that didn't that didn't realize that she was mentally ill.
Yeah,
he thought that this was all like a performance piece, which it kind of was, like kind of.
Yeah,
but not really.
Sort of. I like when she has Wes Bentley over to her house and she asks if she goes, "Have you ever done it in a bag?" Oh, that was funny and weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of like weird throwaway gags and things in this.
When she's just listing the things that she wants to do, and one of them is call out people that are cunts.
Mm-hmm. That was funny.
Just throw that in there.
And one little odd thing that I noticed is that there was a scene where she was reenacting a time in her life when she moved, I think, into her own place, and they showed the moving boxes, and one of them was just one of them was just labeled Al masks. Like, you have an entire box dedicated to Al masks.
Who doesn't?
I like that,
but then and then they try and go down, like towards the end of the movie, they try to really bring it home and try and get at your heartstrings when she's like calling in and talking about how she's so alone, and then for whatever reason she's walking naked through a casino.
Yeah, when she has her complete breakdown.
Yeah, it's just
that's when she just loses it completely. Because I guess
like, I don't know. Like, you've been making fun of her the entire time, and now all of a sudden you want me to feel for her?
Yeah, it's definitely a 180 that occurs when she has her little psychotic break after Linda Cardellini plays her best friend, who for probably half the movie I thought was her sister.
Yeah.
They didn't establish that. Like, early on in the movie, there's a scene where they're having dinner. They're all having dinner, and like with her mom and dad, and I guess I just missed it if they mentioned it, but I thought that Linda Cardellini's character was her sister.
That's what I thought.
And
yeah,
it took me a minute to figure out her relationship with Alan Tudyk as well. I thought that he was supposed to be her brother, and then she makes one comment about them having sex, and I was like, oh, okay, that must be an ex-husband.
Yeah.
I wanted a little bit more from him too, because
it's an interesting movie. Yeah, I mean, you have Alan Tudyk in there, and you're not really even using him. Then why you have Alan Tudyk in there?
Yeah, like, he was funny. He was funny in that beginning with the dinner scene, but he pretty much played on the periphery of the entire rest of the movie.
Yeah.
I like Tim Robbins as well as the psychiatrist. I felt like he was supposed to be creepy at first, but then realized that he wasn't, like, he was genuine. And I thought that after she won the lottery that he was going to try to do something to get a bunch of the money.
Yeah.
And he never did. So basically, this entire movie, you
were just thinking people were going to be terrible, awful people, and they weren't.
I was confused about the characters the entire time.
No, it's just, I mean, the whole winning the lottery thing, it's just an excuse for her to have her show, and it kind of like, hey, it's all right, she's mentally ill and everything, but she's a millionaire, it's cool. Like, I mean, it almost seems,
it almost seems like they would have talked more about the money.
Yeah, what would this movie been if she was borderline with no money? Yeah. Where are you going to play it up for as many laughs as you're doing here? No, because it's not funny. But, give her $86 million, then everything's a fucking hoot. Haha.
So it seems like this movie was really offensive to you.
It kind of pissed me off a little bit. I'm a bit pissed off. When I watched it, I was just kind of like, I don't know what the hell they're doing here. I don't know what they're going for. And I was just kind of like, oh, great, it's over. I can move on with my life. But now talking about it, it's starting to irritate me a little bit. Because this stuff makes me uneasy. Like, let's laugh at mentally ill people.
Yeah, I mean, if you put any amount of thought into this movie, yeah, I think that it would make you uneasy. Again, just to reiterate the fact that it's the movie's fault for doing this, because if they didn't mention the fact that she went off her meds and did have this mental illness, if they didn't mention that at all, then I think it would have played out completely differently.
I mean, I think it's slightly interesting in the sense that you don't see anyone outside of like Tim Robbins' character and maybe her friend, really pushing for her to get back on her meds. But they don't really focus on that at all. Like, it's, that she makes all this money and everyone's like, oh, well, she has a show and she has money, so she's okay. She doesn't need to go back on her meds. But she clearly needs to go back on her meds.
Yeah, and maybe that was intentional. Maybe that's what was making people act like dicks, was the fact that they knew that there was something wrong with her, but they didn't care or, didn't want to get involved because she was bringing so much money into the station and all that stuff. Maybe that's why Jennifer Jason Leigh's character ultimately leaves, because she doesn't think that what they're doing is right.
Yeah, but she seems to leave more because she just thinks that Alice is...
It's trash TV.
Yeah, and that Alice is ridiculous and she just can't stand her.
Yeah, that's the impression that I got as well.
Yeah.
But apparently I've just misread every character in this entire movie from the very beginning. Yeah, I don't have a lot more to say. It didn't really work for me. I thought that I laughed a good bit. I'd say maybe half a dozen times, maybe a dozen times. No serious laughter. Maybe like 3 or 4 serious laughs.
Yeah, I think I was just nothing but chortles.
Yeah,
I think I had a handful of chortles in there.
Yeah, I think it was mostly a chortle game for me too.
And it probably was mostly just because of mispronouncing words, which always makes me chuckle.
Yeah.
No matter what, Is it easy comedy? Yeah, it is, but it works for me. So,
I think for the most part, it works for me too. I thought that the character of Alice Klieg was a funny character. I mean, it was definitely something within Kristen Wiig's wheelhouse that I think that she does well. I just thought that the blending of the serious drama and goofball comedy just didn't mix. It didn't work, I think, as it was intended.
No, I don't think so. I would agree. It just felt at odds with each other in the movie itself. Where it's like, oh, she's just quirky, weird character, and laugh. It's so funny and odd and random. And then it's like, oh, feel bad for her. And it's like, wait, you as a movie don't even feel bad for her. Why are you asking me to?
Yeah, that's true. Yep. All right, what are you going to give Welcome to Me out of 10?
Oh, man. This is a tough one. Let's say a 4.
All right, I'm going to go with
3, 4. 3, 4.
I'm going to go with a 5 on that one.
All right.
Wasn't horrible.
No, yeah. I'm not going to remember this by the end of the year.
No, me neither. Like, I was already trying to remember the jokes that I didn't write down that I laughed at, and I couldn't remember.
Well, it's funny. I'm trying to think of like the mispronounced words, and the only one I can think of is carbohydrates.
Yeah, there were other ones.
There's a couple other ones, but I don't remember what the hell they were. But they made me chuckle, whatever they were.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she's still like, wasn't there at one point where she was talking about the dogs? She like started just speaking in an English accent for some reason.
Could be.
Or I don't know
Could
if
be.
that's true or if I just made that up.
I don't remember that, but it's entirely possible.
Maybe I just made that up. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to make
something you heard in your head. Who knows?
I think everyone had English accents. Now that I think of it, every single person except Alan Tudyk. Oddly enough,
that would be kind of funny if everyone for no apparent reason had English accents in this movie. That would be kind of funny. We didn't mention Wes Bentley. I liked him too. I like pretty much everything Wes Bentley's in.
It's Bentley, yeah. He seems to be popping up more and more.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move on and talk about someone we've been watching. Let's see. I'll start it off this week. I'm guessing that I can talk about it. I don't know if it's under embargo. Apologies if it is, but I saw Heaven Knows What.
Oh, you just fucked over everything.
This comes out. I think that I'm going to hold off on most of my comments about this because I am working on a review that'll be up, I think, next week. I think it comes out on the 15th. So it's directed by Ben and Joshua Safdie, and it's based on the life of this young girl in New York. Her name's Ariel Holmes, and she was basically a homeless drug addict in New York. And the interesting thing about this movie is that it actually stars her, and she's playing herself, and it's based on her life. So it definitely straddles the line between documentary and narrative.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably one of the closest things to a movie like that. I've seen a few movies popping up within the last couple of years that have really tried to blur the lines between reality and fiction.
Yeah.
And I think this one is
the
probably this is the closest one. I mean, this movie did play at the True False Film Festival, the documentary one.
Mm-hmm.
And it played a slew of other film festivals too. I don't know. I doubt that it was categorized as a documentary because Caleb Landry Jones is in it, and he's a fairly well-known actor. I read that they wanted to get a more established, well-versed actor for the part that he plays because it requires a lot of emotion and range, and they really got to sell this character. So I can understand why they wanted to get a professional actor for that one role.
Yeah.
All the rest of the people are non-professional actors.
Oh, hold up. Except for Eleanor Hendricks.
Oh yeah, Eleanor Hendricks is in there. They got a couple people. Necro is in there. I don't know if you want to.
Do you want to label Necro as a like legit actor?
I don't know if he's been in other things, but he's Necro.
This is a year where Necro's in a movie and Cage is in a movie.
Yeah,
it's very bizarre.
And Necro does a really good job too. Eleanor Hendricks is barely in it at all. I didn't even remember that she was in it. But for the most part, they use non-actors. It's a very small cast. I mean, most of what you see in this movie is her interacting with other street people in very small interactions. But at any rate, I thought it was fantastic. It will certainly go in my top 10. A lot of people are comparing this to Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
And I can kind of see the comparison where it is a drug movie, and it is it's kind of the soundtrack. Oh my goodness. It's got this kind of EDM soundtrack, so it's got this like thumping dance music that happens throughout, and it works on every level.
You get me excited.
I can see the comparisons to Requiem for a Dream, but the big difference is the realism. I mean, this is a down and dirty, nasty, disgusting, realistic movie, and it whereas I think Requiem for a Dream sometimes sort of romanticizes a lot of the content in that movie just because a lot of it looks really good and pretty and the cinematography is so good, and this movie takes a very grittier approach where it's just real and it's nasty.
Yeah. Plus you know that this is a woman essentially reliving
reliving the worst year of her life, like her hitting rock bottom, and she's reenacting it. And that's the thing that really pushes this over the top, is the fact that Ariel Holmes is playing herself in this movie, and it's just, oh my god, you have to see it. I'm done gushing about it. I'm sure that we'll do a full review after you see it, so stay tuned for that.
I'm pretty excited for this one. Have been for a while. Then, like I told you already, as soon as I saw you log it on Letterboxd, I just stared down my computer. It's just like, you fucking dick.
Yeah, I don't think it's getting a VOD release. I think it's just hitting theaters. So if it does come out in your area, be sure to check it out. Again, it's called Heaven Knows What.
I want it in my face as soon as possible. I want it to happen in front of my face. I watched a movie from True False Film Festival, or Film Fest, True False, whatever it's called.
I was having a tough time with it too, because it's true/false.
I know.
I was just like, wait, is it just true false, or is it true or false, or
True/false Film Fest? And pardon the language, but it's a movie called Field Niggas from Khalik Allah. It's kind of like it's like an experimental documentary type thing going on here. Where apparently he's a photographer, and for one summer he just kept going down to the corner of 125th Street and Lexington Avenue in Harlem, and just filming the locals and interviewing them and just letting them have conversations. They talked about whatever, just dreams. You know, a couple of people are just rapping. The other people are talking about, apparently there's, which I didn't know about this, something called K2 is apparently like incense that you smoke, which there's...
Sounds like...
Yeah, and there's
like some of that synthetic.
Yeah, and there's like no regulations on it, so they're out on the street smoking K2, but there's no laws, but the police are still cracking down and busting people every night. So there's a lot of discussion about that. That takes up a good portion of the film. It's just talking about K2. And, you know, how can the police do this when there's actually no laws against it? It's not illegal whatsoever, but yet they're still busting people and hauling them off. And so the visual aspects of it is his HD camera work in slow motion of just these genuine, really artistic portraitures almost of these, just the local flavor of this corner in Harlem. And it's in slow motion. And then the audio doesn't match up with the people that you're seeing, but the audio is just, you know, the conversations that he had, the interviews, people talking about K2, people rapping, people talking about, you know, raising kids and how it used to be in the 80s, and just a number of things. It's just this huge snapshot of just this little tiny corner of the world. And the people that really, my guess is, never had a voice whatsoever, and then he gives them one. And it's very interesting. At times it's mesmerizing. And
sounds like it's right up my alley.
Yeah, at other times it kind of drags a little bit. You know, you're talking to so many different people and so many different subjects. Of course, some are going to be more interesting than others, and there's going to be parts that drag. But it looks fantastic, and it's an insight to something that I've never seen before. You know, people that don't have a voice.
Yeah, and that's how did you watch this?
I watched this on. The funny thing is this first popped up. I came across this on Vimeo, and it's on Vimeo for free. And then when I finally got around, like, I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna finally sit down and watch it. Then it became password protected because I guess it got into film festivals, and you haven't been able to see it since. So I saw a festival screener. Is what I saw.
Okay.
But for a while there, you could see it, but unfortunately not anymore. But as soon as you were able to, I would check that one out.
And keeping with the New York theme, seem to have a New York theme going on here all of a sudden.
Uh-oh.
I saw a movie called Straight Outta Tompkins. This came out earlier this year. Now, this is... The only reason I saw this is because it takes place very close to where I live. I live a block away from Tompkins Square Park, and that's where this movie gets its name. It takes place in the Lower East Side. It's actually a little bit lower in Manhattan than where I'm at, but still very close. It's directed by Zephyr Benson, And it's about a guy, a teenager. He's 17, still in high school, and he ends up getting involved with drug dealing. And it's one of these rags to riches to rags story about a kid that gets involved in drug dealing, and then he makes all this money, and then he loses it, and then he hits rock bottom, and he becomes addicted to heroin. And it's very cliche, by the numbers. It's not good. It's like they try to employ all these different techniques, like the beginning of the movie when they're introducing the characters, and there's like 4 characters in this movie. They do the whole Guy Ritchie like whoosh with the name, the character's name below them, and they do the freeze frame, and they're like, this is because he narrates the whole movie as well.
Oh, that sounds great.
So he's like, this is my best friend. We grew up together. That type of thing.
Oh, God.
But that's the beginning of the movie. Later on in the movie, they introduce new characters, but they don't do the whole freeze frame, name drop thing.
Yeah.
They don't do that. So it's like they just abandoned that idea. And then the narration, just awful. They didn't abandon that. They stuck with that.
Oh, God.
They stuck with that till almost the end.
Why do people use this? Why do they still employ this?
And it had such a bizarre tone throughout the whole movie, because it was kind of, they were making jokes and trying to keep things light and fun, but then he becomes a heroin addict and it gets very dark. People start dying and getting murdered, and it's like, this isn't funny anymore. Why are you still trying to make this funny? Because this is not working.
Yeah.
So yeah, this one did not work for me. I cannot recommend it. Like I said, I only gave it I heard bad things about it when it came out like a month ago.
You should have just stuck with Tompkins Square Park, the stand-up special from the 90s.
Yeah, there we go.
That's what you should have watched instead.
Or I should have just went to Tompkins Square Park and took a nice jog.
There you go. You could do that.
That's probably what I should have done. And the thing is, Tompkins Square Park's they're in it for like maybe one scene at the beginning, one scene towards the end. So you don't even get to see the park.
Just so they can use it in the title, is my guess.
Yeah, just to make it a clever title.
We'll bookend it with the park. That way we can use the title.
I guess he lives in the Lower East Side, but another thing that I hated was at the beginning of this movie. The whole beginning narration is all about New York, and he's just saying how, oh, you think you're a New Yorker and you think you know New York, but you don't know it. You don't know New York, and New York doesn't care about you, and it's living and breathing, and once you're gone, New York's gonna find 12 people to replace you, and like this whole diatribe about real New Yorkers and blah, 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 and it's just like, come on, get off of it. It was just, I don't know. That rubbed me the wrong way, and can't recommend that. Straight out of Tompkins.
Can't get into it.
Right. It's better than Kid Cannabis. I'll say that.
Yeah. What the hell does that mean?
I hated Kid Cannabis was.
Yeah, you're just talking about 2 different kinds of shit. They're both shit, though. You know what I mean? Like one's a runny shit, and the other one's a semi-solid shit.
But if I'm talking to somebody who likes these kind of movies, like Ryan, for instance, for some reason he always eats these movies up. If I were to tell him, if he saw Kid Cannabis and he kind of liked it, I'd be like, well,
check this one out.
Maybe you should check out Straight Outta Tompkins. It's better than Kid Cannabis.
Gotcha.
Looking back, though, I don't even know. I don't even know now if it's better or not. It's less misogynistic than Kid Cannabis.
That always helps.
Yeah.
That always helps. Nothing makes a movie worse than misogyny.
Oh, yeah.
I watched, this was on my resolution list for this year. A classic, Ken Russell, 1971, The Devils. Finally got around to watching this bad boy. Wow. This is something. I want to say that every single person needs to see this movie. If you're into film, you have to watch The Devils. I mean, my goodness. based on real events.
I swear to God, I saw something on Twitter about this recently.
It,
I wonder if did this get like a re-release or something, or a remaster?
I don't think. I mean, I did tweet that I finally watched The Devils. Maybe you read that tweet.
Maybe I read your tweet, but no, I thought that I saw like a picture.
Perhaps.
Maybe like Arrow was putting it out or something. Go ahead.
Well, I got the BFI DVD. This was banned for the longest time, and you can tell why when you watch it. You can tell why. It's you got organized religion and mass hysteria and demon possession within nuns, and nuns do a lot of sexual things because of their demon possession. There's a shit ton of stuff going on in The Devils. There's so many layers to this film. If just not just the organized religion, but the politics and what the politicians and the going to bed with organized religion, and how they're trying to take over these small places in France, trying to take over the cities, and there's just so much going on. You can't unload all of it and after one viewing. And the two main takeaways are Oliver Reed as the lead is remarkable performance, and Derek Jarman's production design is ridiculous. I mean, talk about world building.
Yeah, it looks like it's got
it is
one of those
gorgeous.
Looks reminiscent of what's that other one? The one that you just loved that came out this year.
Hard to Be a God?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
looks like a less dirty version.
Yeah,
of that.
less dirty, less shit. There's not as much shit, but it's still it's on that grand scale with all the extras and the choreography and the set design and everything. I mean, oh my goodness. It's just they don't make them like this anymore. It's just such a cliched thing to say, but it is so true. Just to see, the amount of work that goes into the architecture, these sets and everything, and then how nowadays where it's just like, we'll just CGI everything. We'll just create it on the computer.
Create it on the computer.
We'll create it on our MacBooks or MacBook Airs or Surfaces, I guess. I don't know what people use.
So you said you got this on DVD.
Yeah, I had to import this bad boy. I'm sure there's.
Where did you import it from? What's the
Amazon UK?
Okay.
I just go straight off of the Amazon UK.
Yeah, because I was just looking to see if there was any way to like stream this, and I can't seem to find anything.
I doubt. Maybe might be able to find it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I just did like a cursory glance here, but
there's
at any rate, that's The Devils.
Yeah, Oliver Reed at the beginning of the movie gets into a sword fight with a guy, and he defends himself with an alligator. Which is crazy as that sounds, it works. He brings an alligator to a sword fight, okay? And it works, and he wins, and he leaves, okay? But when it comes to politicians and organized religion, he brings like logic and reason, which that doesn't work out for him at all. He probably should have brought another alligator.
You, sir, brought an alligator to a sword fight.
Oh
no, the alligator's winning.
Exactly, dude. You gotta fight crazy with crazy. If you're gonna go up against organized religion, back in the 17th century during the plague, you have to fight crazy with crazy. You can't fight crazy with reason and logic.
I'm gonna have to borrow this from you. I really want to see this now.
Yeah, this is, oh my goodness.
And I noticed you didn't rate it yet on Letterboxd.
I did not. It's a 10 out of 10. This is
10 out of 10.
This is an experience. It's just, I have to watch it again.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to follow that up with the only other one I saw this week called Infini, which is not a 10 out of 10. It's directed by Shane Abess, and it's an Australian science fiction horror movie. If you saw Aliens,
it's that.
If you saw The Thing, if you saw Event Horizon, and maybe even Sunshine, it's that. It's bits and pieces of all of those movies wrapped into one. It doesn't fail on every level. It mostly works. It is an interesting concept for a movie. So basically, it's set in the 23rd century, and because of how the Earth is, everybody's poor. There was an economic collapse. People are encouraged to take on very dangerous jobs, like mining and military work that involve something called slipstreaming.
Okay.
And basically what slipstreaming is it's sort of like teleporting. It allows you to travel very long distances instantaneously. So they have mining colonies and things set up all throughout the universe, and through this slipstreaming technique, they're able to travel to those instantly.
Yeah.
So what happens is the main guy named Whit Carmichael, played by Daniel McPherson, he goes on a search and rescue mission to figure out what's going on with this mining crew that I'm sorry. Let me take that back a little bit. A search team goes to figure out what's going on with this mining crew. They lost contact with them. Something's wrong. And they come back and they're like infected with something, and they end up contaminating the base that they're on.
No.
And in an attempt to get off the base without being killed, this guy, Whit Carmichael, uses his slipstream controller thing, and he ends up on the base that they came from. And another team at another base is sent in to rescue him and to stop this payload that has this biological component on it from getting off the base.
I gotta say, dude, you sound...
Do I sound like Ryan?
No, you just a little bit, but you also sound like you don't want to talk about this movie. You're just you're just struggling to get through it. Like I don't want to remember anything about this movie.
Well, the setup is pretty interesting, and the movie starts off quite good. It feels like Alien, where there's a team of Marines, and they're going in and they're exploring and they're finding all these dead bodies and this weird stuff, and you don't really know what's going on. But it just kind of falls apart from there after you discover that the biological thing that's infecting people, it sort of turns into the Thing at that point. Like it infects the people and they go crazy.
Yeah.
And it just goes on from there. The only problem is, and this is a mild spoiler, the entire rescue team gets killed off like right away. So you don't have that Alien vibe where they're getting picked off one by one. They're just all pretty much wiped out right off the bat. And so there's not a lot of tension going on. And the rest of the movie, a lot of the movie, is just this guy, Carmichael, having conversations with the infected people that don't immediately try to kill him.
Okay.
And these conversations are very long and very... like contemplative, like they talk about life and all the big heady subjects, but it's just like, I don't know you. They didn't take any time to establish any of these characters. They're just random grunts, you know? So there's just very little to latch onto there. I mean, they developed the main guy a little bit. Like, they let us know that he has a pregnant wife and he's trying to get home. He's trying to provide for his family, but that's really all we know about him too. I thought that the final act of the movie, the way that they wrapped everything up, that mostly worked. That was pretty good too. So I would say the first and the last act are okay. The middle bit is not very interesting at all. Visually, it's Alien. It's got, dark corridors, various space outpost things that are strewn about everywhere, and everything looks kind of creepy and dark.
Yeah.
I will say that they did a lot for a little. I mean, this was a low-budget indie effort, and it looks pretty good for that. I mean, the production design is top-notch. The costumes look really good, like their suits and stuff and the weapons. So I would say it's not entirely a failure or anything like that, but it's just middle of the road for me. I gave it a 5 out of 10. I have a full review up on the site. And that's playing on video on demand and in select cities right now. So, again, Infini. Very light. Very light recommend. I would say only if you really love these kind of sci-fi horror movies.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I know you don't. I know you don't. We talked earlier in the week, and I was like, nah, that's not one for you.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about some predictions. Last week, what did we do? What did we predict last week? Hot Pursuit. That was the only one. You said 22, I said 26. Actual 6. Yeah, apparently that one is just a total bomb.
Yeah.
Critics hated it, and it made no money. The Avengers, I think, destroyed it at the box office.
It did look terrible. You have to admit.
Mm-hmm.
It looked awful.
Yeah, it looks awful. Next week, we got a much better week. Next week, we got Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, boy.
This is a big daddy.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to go with an 88.
88, you say?
88.
I'm going to say 96 on this one.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm predicting big things for this movie.
Damn insider information.
I saw all the trailers, and I stopped watching after, I think, the second trailer. They released like 3 or 4 trailers for this, and I freak out every time I see it. Every time. I lose my shit over this movie. I'm so excited. I'm so amped up for this. I can't wait. Cannot wait to see this. Pitch Perfect 2 also comes out next week, and I anticipate that that's going to do very well also. This is directed by Elizabeth Banks, and it's a directorial debut from her, so I don't know if that's a good thing or possibly could be a bad thing. I will say, I know that the first one got really high scores from critics. Something tells me that this one's not going to be as highly rated, but I think it's still going to be pretty good, so I'll say 72.
I'm gonna go 70.
Okay. In limited release next week, we have Good Kill. That's the Andrew Nichol. Is it Nichol or Nichols? Can't remember.
I have no idea.
The guy that did Gattaca and Lord of War. That's his next one with Ethan Hawke. That one's not very good, so I think that's hitting VOD as well. I'll See You in My Dreams. Animals. I had the opportunity to see Animals on several occasions. I went to a couple different festivals where that was playing, and it eluded me. Plus, it looks like a big downer of a movie. But I know you're into it.
Well, you know, I like my downers.
I'll probably see it.
I like my downers.
Echoes of War, Every Secret Thing, and Slow West.
I'm interested in Slow West.
I heard it was slow.
Ha!
Yeah, I mean it's a joke, but it's legit. Like I heard it was very, very slow movie. It's funny, the trailer makes it look like it's kind of a light, fun, maybe Coen Brothers-esque Western.
Yeah.
But apparently it's not like that at all. Like it's not funny. There's no comedy in it. Apparently the trailer's very misleading.
Gotcha.
But I'm still gonna seek it out. VOD next week, we have, pull up my list here, we have The Roughnecks. This is on Tuesday, we have The Roughnecks and Anarchy Parlor. Anarchy Parlor is a horror movie that looks very similar to Hostel, but with a tattoo shop in Lithuania.
Okay.
I'll check it out. Why not?
Seems so.
And then on Friday, we have Echoes of War, Every Secret Thing. What do you think of that one? Every Secret Thing.
Every Secret Thing.
It's the one with Diane Lane.
Yeah. I heard good things about her performance.
Elizabeth Banks and Diane Lane.
I'm interested.
Dakota Fanning.
Yeah, I'm interested just to see performances.
It's definitely got a Fincher vibe to it.
Ooh.
I'm interested in that. Maybe we'll review that next week.
Okay.
Along with definitely got to do Mad Max next week. So
yes.
So maybe we'll do Mad Max and Every Secret Thing or Animals or even Slow West. Who knows? A lot of good stuff.
Let's just
Slow West.
Let's do Mad Max for like the next 4 weeks.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right.
Also on VOD, Animals, Slow West, Good Kill, Pound of Flesh, Official Absolution.
Okay. What?
I don't know.
Official Absolution.
Mm-hmm.
Official.
It's a Steven Seagal movie.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yep, Steven Seagal and Vinnie Jones.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, with a name like Official Absolution, of course it's a Seagal movie.
I just typed it into the search bar. Nothing came up though. What's happening?
It's secret. Area 51, which is the director of Paranormal Activity. It's his next movie.
Okay.
And I guess this one's been gestating for like a really long time. It took him a really long time to get this one made, but it's finally coming out. It's found footage, which obviously is a huge turnoff for me, but it looks pretty interesting. So I may check that out. One called Time Lapse looks interesting. It's kind of like a time travel type thriller.
That's kind of what I figured.
Yeah. And The Film Critic.
Right.
Also on Saturday is Bessie, that HBO original movie with Queen Latifah.
Oh, okay. All right.
About Bessie Smith. I'm not too interested in that, but it's probably good. HBO's usually got good stuff going on.
Yeah, they usually bring it.
They usually do bring it. Just really quick, speaking of TV, I checked out the pilot episode for that Wayward Pines show that's on Fox.
Okay.
The one that has Matt Dillon and Terrence Howard.
Oh, is that the one where
Lewis.
he can't leave?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Toby Jones is in there. And Melissa Leo. Great cast. So far, I mean, I really like the pilot. It certainly feels a lot like Twin Peaks, and it has potential to go very, very wrong, depending on where they're going to go with it.
Yeah.
But just based off the pilot, I was really intrigued about where this is going. Like he gets into this town, and he gets a note from a bartender played by Juliette Lewis, who he later finds out doesn't even work there, and nobody even knows who she is. So that's spooky right off the bat.
Yeah.
But she gives him an address, and on the back of the address it says, "There are no crickets in Wayward Pines." And he goes outside, and he hears crickets, and he looks in the bushes, and it's like a little box playing just a cricket noise.
Uh-huh.
And you're just like, what?
Okay.
It's kind of like a Stepford. Feels like a Stepford Wives kind of deal mixed with, maybe even like Truman Show, because it feels like it's this manufactured town. But at any rate, I'm into it. But I love Twin Peaks. So anytime there's kind of a Twin Peaks ripoff show,
you're in.
I'm kind of into it, and I'll check it out. I'll check it out for a couple episodes at least. Anyway, moving on to DVD and Blu-ray, we have Black Hat. I didn't see this. Heard it was pretty bad. So
yeah, I'm hearing it's all over the place when I'm hearing on Black Hat.
I know you were interested initially.
I was interested. It's one of the most bizarre trailers I think I've seen so far this year. Where,
I think I may
80% of it, I'm like, oh my god, this looks amazing. And then all of a sudden, a shit ton of machine guns come out, and I'm just like, what the fuck happened to your movie?
Yeah, I was more interested in the hacker political intrigue aspect of it, than the action part. But I may check it out. I'm also very aware, I've said this multiple times, the digital video style that he's been using lately. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I think it looks like shit. But okay. So we have Black Hat, Champs, that's the documentary about boxing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Cobbler. Certainly.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely avoid The Cobbler. Holy shit balls.
What?
The Drownsman, I'd avoid that. Ghoul, I'd avoid that. Mordecai.
Yeah.
Didn't see it, but heard very bad things. Looks really bad. Mordecai.
Are you listing movies that are coming out, or just listing terrible movies?
I think they're both.
Okay.
This week it seems like they're both.
I thought maybe I missed something, and you're just like, hey, these are terrible movies. I'm going to list them off real quick.
Well, here's one that's supposedly not terrible. Still Alice. That comes out next week on DVD and Blu-ray.
There we go.
Julianne Moore. And another bad one. We'll end it off with this one. Tracers.
Oh.
Well, Tracers.
Good. Do some tracing.
It's the one with the dude from Twilight.
Uh-huh.
Taylor Lautner. Tracer action.
I'm going to guess that that's a good thing.
What if it was just a movie about Taylor Lautner tracing dinosaurs in a coloring book for an hour and a half?
That would
in a white empty room.
I might watch that, actually. I don't know why, but I might.
And every now and then you just hear a voice come on the microphone saying, "Stay within the lines. Stay within the lines, Taylor."
It's just him going. Just a heavy sigh, just hangs his head, drops the pencil. Yeah,
I like that idea.
I would fucking watch that, actually. More so than everything else you just listed.
I think we have a couple criterions, or at least one criterion.
We have one criterion. We have 1937's Make Way for Tomorrow from Leo McCarey.
Woof! Little Leo Carey action. What?
Great unsung Hollywood masterpiece. So, get that.
Oh, shit.
Get that and Tracers. Double bill it. Make Way for Tomorrow and Mina Adams' remake of Tracers. As soon as we get that done, we just got to talk to Taylor Lautner. See if he's up for it.
Oh, God. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week. Send us your questions to podcast@filmpulse.net. Follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet and @filmpulsekevin. And please take a look at our Patreon page at patreon.com/filmpulse and consider subscribing for as little as $1 per month. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name is Adam Patterson, and we'll see you on Thursday for Ryan Watches a Movie. Racers. Oh my God. I love it.
I want that to be a thing.